welcome back to Studio Reverie's Arc 6 live recorded sessions. Today we're doing chapters 75, 76. These are heavy Louie chapters, so we are going to get started with that. It's the rest of Arc 6 is predominantly one-on-ones with everybody meeting their destiny in some way, shape, or form. So get ready for individualized chapters. I don't know if I said it yesterday, just have some little different announcements. We will be reading the first chapter of Arc 7 live when we wrap up Arc 6. That way it's a nice little cliffhanger for all of us. Also, we think that's where the anime will end, so you guys get that last little cliffhanger. Yay! Hope you all been doing well today. It's good to see everyone here, and good morning, good evening. I hope you enjoyed these 3 streams this week. It's not going to happen again for a long time. And just a reminder, once we're done Arc 6, we're going to take like a little bit of a break for our team to just rest, see what we're doing in this new school year / work quarter, whatever. We're going to come up with a new schedule, and then we're going to get back to reading Arc 2, 3, that we've missed because of translations. Now there's a bunch of translations out. And then once we catch up with those ones, we're going to do Arc 4 right after, while we prep Arc 7 and get the good copies of Arc 6 out. Yay! Also, we are canceling next Wednesday's stream, so we will not be live with Arc 6. That's because myself and the boys on the podcast will be recording my reactions to Arc 7, and if I've read Arc 8 to that point, Arc 8 as well. What I will do is I'm going to watch the podcast episodes, I'm going to take their opinions, I'm going to add mine to it so we don't have too much overlap of the exact same stuff you already heard. So I'm going to bring in my nuance to it. And we're not going to do that with everyone and everything. But we thought it'd be kind of fun for Arc 7 and 8. Yay! Okay. I think that's all the announcements I think I'll put out. If you haven't already, subscribe to us. We have such a high subscriber returning count rate, so we're doing fucking great. You guys can smash the like button or dislike. Both work fine. You can turn on notifications. Yep. You can tell Connor I did my call to actions. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jay Dudley, for the donation. That's so sweet. All right, without further ado, let's bring the team on.
I need to talk to them because... Oh, hey, hi.
Hello, chat.
You all will never know how that story ends. I'm moving on.
Every day I come in, I'm always, like, stressed. I'm like, oh, God, what are we going to hear now?
No spoilers.
We're gonna be talking about Arc 9 next time, and I haven't even read it.
Yes, Taldy!
Yay!
All right, everybody. They have been introduced. I let them know about our schedule for next week, our plans for after Arc 6. Ta-da! Let's introduce ourselves.
Woo!
I am Gold. I am one of the guys who made this channel, and also one of the hosts of the ReZero podcast, which I swear still exists. I mean, you probably just heard we're doing an episode soon.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
All right, Greenie here. Not in the basement this time. One of the editors of Studio Reverie, and just here, excited to see another legendary stream go off.
Yay.
Hello, everybody. I am Carmen, another one of the editors for Studio Reverie, as well as your Melee, Lai, Roy, and also narrator for today.
Woohoo! I'm Kyles. I'm one of the co-founders of Reverie. I am Amelia and Shala. And, Shala's not here today, so I'm just Amelia today. Yay!
Hey, everybody. I am Tealdi. I am Louie. You're going to be hearing a lot of Louie today. I'm also narrating, so it's kind of low-key the Tealdi show today, but it's fine. I promise I'm not taking over. I don't have that kind of time.
No, I'm okay with that. Go ahead, please. I could use a break.
Hello everyone, Wolf here. I just got back from my summer vacation, if you saw last chapter.
Oof.
And I'm here and ready to have a good time. Subaru's back, baby!
Woo! Woo, woo, woo!
Man, I wonder where he went.
Yeah.
Where did he fucking go?
Vacation. He just told you.
Toulouse.
He comes back from a summer vacation. Ah, time to go on another one. Fuck these guys. La, 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 la.
I
You know,
liked
you think-
not dying. I'm gonna take a break.
You'd think Oddlogner isn't a very good vacation spot, but I guess I'm wrong.
For Subaru, I think just the peace.
Compared to
The
where he
peace.
was, yeah.
I don't know how he was so trusting though. Of just like, yeah, good luck. Don't kill my fam, please.
He went to one of those like sensory deprivation chambers for a long time. It's just like, I just need to reset.
Ha! We are all, I think, quite exhausted as well from this week of reading. So bear with us. I'm sure you guys are too. We'll bear with you all. Are y'all ready to get started?
Oh, I'm
Yes.
so ready.
So ready? Let me just move my
Hey, Aldi, are you
stuff.
ready?
Oh, real quick in chat. Thank you, Jay Dudley, for the donation.
Yes! Thank you so much. Oh, you guys didn't hear me say that.
We are excited for
you.
Arc 7 as well.
Yes.
We are. In fact, my brain is so focused on it, it's insane.
There's so much going on, and now that she knows what it's about, she's gonna be excited for it even more.
Yeah, I'm at a really rough spot to stop at.
I
Low-key-
I imagine.
finished
I think I know exactly what type of area you're at. You're towards the end, right?
Yes, I just
Yeah.
had one of your characters, one of Taildy's characters, and one of Connor's characters interact in a political discussion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
We love those.
Yeah. I used to hate politics. I don't fucking love it. I love it.
Real life politics.
In fictional,
Fuck that
fictional
shit.
politics.
Fictional politics. Give me fucking more.
Fictional politics go
Yum,
hard.
yum, 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 yum.
They do go so hard.
Yeah.
Ow. All right. I'm gonna sit back and mute my mic and control stream. If you need me, just holler. You're okay with being like subbing in for Common if she needs it?
Yeah. Just tell me when.
I'll ping you in the chat if I need it.
Woohoo! We
Okay.
believe in you.
You got this.
All right. Take it away when you're ready.
Ready?
Yes.
Arc 6, Chapter 75. Louie Arneb.
Want to become happy.
What are termed as the positives and negatives of life? Are great gambles determined by birth and environment. That was the philosophy Louie Arneb had acquired upon the extremity of eating and hunting down the lives of innumerable humans as the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony. Louie Arneb was the youngest amongst the three siblings who were Sin Archbishops fixated with gluttony. By nature, contrary to the scale and unsound state of control of its activity, the witch cult's true state of affairs was surprisingly unascertained. Through much regarding in Sin Archbishops in particular was enveloped in mystery. Although the principal source for that was that of the majority of people who happened upon them had lost their lives. The one who had their names well known, even amongst Sin Archbishops. No, it ought to be in past tense. So the ones who had their names well known had certainly been the two of sloth and greed. Aside from those, even if it was known that the Sin Archbishops of wrath, lust, and finally gluttony existed for several years, it had been shrouded in mystery what kind of a bunch they were. And to boot, the very existence of Louie Arneb, the youngest sister amongst the trio of siblings of gluttony, save for the Sin Archbishops, with them being the only exception, was unknown. The concealed Sin Archbishop that had been the position in which Louie Arneb stood.
Well, it's not as if we wished for it, you know?
So whispered Louie, stretching her legs within the white space she had been in since birth. Impotently, Louis could not exit the white space and did not have the ability to meet anyone. Unable to exercise the authority of gluttony anywhere except in the location where it was highly restricted as well, was what was called an unused treasured possession to her. However, thanks to her two elder brothers, when it came to meals, she had not been incapacitated. That was because the memories and names her elder brothers ate, that was to say, the lives of others, that food could be snatched by someone uninvolved as her, enabling her to fulfill her hunger.
Why do we have to be like this?
Fulfilling her hunger through her elder brother's leftovers, whilst indulging in the lives of others. Louie was having her self-identity molded and taking form little by little. Immediately discerned that she was in circumstances entirely different from others. Without a body that could be free, what she could operate was merely consciousness. Though she possessed the memories of having walked, she possessed no experience of having walked. That was the defective article known as herself.
We are in such unhappy circumstances.
That was how Louie recognized herself, that she was in a sorrowful environment. And she understood these circumstances would not change regardless how much she lamented. In order to console their younger sister lost adrift within such sorrow, her elder brothers seemingly violed with each other and ate, and provided their little sister the same platters they had eaten themselves. Those platters which her elder brothers served her, while brimming with respective individuality. Lie, who named himself Gourmet, loved lives with strong flavors for both better or worse. Roy, of bizarre eating, anyhow gave precedence to amount, becoming entranced for fulfilling hunger with off flavors. From Louie's perspective, if she had to say, then she had been able to enjoy the platters chosen by Lie on numerous occasions. But on numerous occasions, she had also made gains from the platters chosen by Roy, who ate and hunted in an unprincipled manner, chewing and digesting evenly lives, comparing flavors by rolling them atop her tongue, and within her mind, what she came to understand, that was the difference in the absolute amount of joyfulness. Louie, who possessed the power to compare the lives of others through her own sense of values, graded various items such as the difference of wealth and poverty, or the presence of absence and of affection. From the environment of growth to family and friends, the existence of lovers, through a formula based on their extent, awarding scores to their lives of others from one to the next, rating them continuously. For being prosperous by birth, for being loved by parents and siblings, for living a life sailing smooth without any trials or tribulations, for having a great number of friends who could be reached out to in times of difficulty, for possessing overflowing talent such that it was possible to stand above all others. Either this or that, or this or that. Regardless of fortune or misfortune, there were countless reasons for some to be able to be discarded. though it was an idea terribly prideful and conceitful. Louis possessed the authority to make it attainable. If it were to be expressed in alternate words, that was equivalent to the act of peeping into the screen of a game other people were playing, complaining and pointing out they should have done this and they should have done that, all whilst ridiculing them. Knocking disdain and mockery across the screen, she criticized the lives of others as per her own conveniences as a bystander, showing jeers as well, striking frank expressions lacking all distinction between likes and dislikes as well, all to her own contentment. Those were Louie's deeds, rating as per her principles egotistic abuse and slander. However, that which she enjoyed at first soon turned wearisome as well. That was natural. What Louis could do was review the memories passed on to her. She could not interfere with anything further. She did not possess the ability to speak of the present and the future. Even if she tried to speak ill of or correct the gameplay of others, there was nobody who could lend an ear to what she would point out, hence why she came to lose her initial amusement. To incessantly look at the play of unskillful humans was to torture rather than just being tedious.
Even though if we were allowed to, then we would do it so much, much, much better. Because each and every single one of them is incompetent.
Despite possessing feet to walk of their own life, despite having arms to cut through distress, despite owning a head to picture the future, all other people were brainless. Louis's elder brothers, Louie and Roy, were no exceptions to that either. Rather, they could be called the incarnation of ineptitude. If memories would be peeped into, it could be well understood what that life had failed at, and at what point had it become unable to recover. All of them accumulated failures, terribly simple and trivial. Why would one stumble at such a spot? Louis was unable to comprehend at all.
Incompetent, incompetent, incompetent! If you're going to live irresponsibly, then hand it over to us, that life. We will do it way, way, way better. Everyone is too brainless.
From one to the next, lives ought to be felt, contempt for where itemized in the form of platters. Chewing and digesting numerous multitudinous of them, Louis was overwhelmed with rage and became nauseous. Without realizing such emotions in Louis's her elder brothers, who successively resumed eating for fulfilling their own desires, was something she felt irritated at, without even feeling anxious for their younger sister, who was making a nauseous expression, the folly of continuing to provide filled platters incessantly. What could she possibly detest? Could she not detest that?
You sure eat while finding it delicious, Oni-chan. You sure eat while finding it fun, Nisama. We are, even now, feeling nauseous, you know?
That was the reason why Louie Arnab named herself Satiation. Starvation that would not be filled no matter how much was eaten. For what was starved was not her body, but her soul.
Want to become happy. 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 This is the feeling of walking outside, isn't it? Both Oni-chan and Nisama doing this the whole time. Unfair, unfair, unfair!
Within the enforced confinement, her shackled self-consciousness followed the lone road to expansion. Just as eating facilitated healthy growth amongst humans, while being provided with platters unwished for as well, Louie underwent favorable growth vigorously. The same was also the case with Lai and Roy, her two elder brothers. Her elder brothers, too, had their own ego enlarge rampantly, having their own hoard feel greater zeal for meals. The insensible food selection by such elder brothers of hers, Louie anyhow felt irritated by. That change had been a byproduct of Louie's such growth and irritation.
This is air from outside. This is water from outside. This is soil from outside. This is blood from outside. Amazing, amazing, amazing. It's real. It's real.
Lying sprawled on bare earth, whilst lovingly licking the soil, having their fill of the world with their entire body, was a young boy. No, though that very flesh body, belonging to the personage who called himself as Lai Betenkaitos, the content within it was desperate. It was not Lai wielding the right to control over that flesh body and moving about freely. Believed to possess the fate of being unable to leave the white world from birth, Louie Arnab, the Sin Archbishop of Tragedy, had her form break through the white cage for the first time. It had been a coincidence. Certainly, she did not think the authority possessed such an ability. Or perhaps Louie's craving spirit had simultaneed the authority to bloom instead. There was no definite answer, neither was it momentous. What was momentous was that this had been realized, that she had walked outside. Intervening between her restricted reality, Louie grandly gulped for the fruit it bore. It had become possible for her to borrow her own elder brother's bodies and independently manipulate that body, that authority. And
Huh? Lai, just what is the meaning of this? While putting on airs for being something like gourmet and fastidious, are you sure you didn't get too hungry and go crazy? That's wrong, that's wrong, that's completely wrong. That's wrong anyway, as that's wrong, that's certainly wrong, as that's certainly wrong, that is wrong, because that's wrong. We are Witch Cult Sin Archbishop representing gluttony, Louie Arnab.
saying so, Louie gave greetings to the baffled Roy Arfard, using the body of Lai Batenkaitos. For this had been the first time ever since she was born did she get to even converse with her elder brothers after all.
It's the cute, cute little sister, the third sibling of Oni-chan and Nisama. Please be loving, please be doting, please be well-wishing, and please be caring, okay? Want to become happy. 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 Want to become happy, 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 want to become happy.
By borrowing the bodies of her elder brothers, she acquired a method to meddle with the outside world. Her elder brother's supply of food did not halt, and as always, never did she suffer with hunger. However, such long-awaited happiness, opportunities, and jumping out into the outside world she much yearned for, Louie Arneb had grown tired of it before long. She had ended up growing tired of it.
Outside is pretty boring. More than what we thought.
In the end, a borrowed body was a borrowed body. There lay no change in the fact that the real form of herself, who was unable to be free, was trapped inside the white world. Rather, by firmly making certain of her own shadow, she strangled her throat by herself.
In the end, something like life is not what you eat or even how much you eat. It's who you eat with. And despite that,
Her elder brothers were living lives of their own. That had to be why they were not seeking it. Louie alone had been disposed of her own life. That had to be why she was eternally seeking it.
want to become happy.
Within the white world, whilst untidily scattering around countless memories, she wished for that with all her heart. That could have perhaps been the greatest or the sole desire of Louis Arneb.
Want to become happy.
A desire unfulfilled, unfading regardless of her borrowing the bodies of her elder brothers or kicking others as per her liking, albeit tasting rich lives and getting drunk on momentary pleasures. It was all perished immediately.
Want to become happy.
She grew tired of it. She had grown tired of it. She wished for a life which belonged to herself and her alone. She wished for a body, a soul, a destiny.
Want to become happy.
Louie was sorrowful. The origin of Louie's sorrow was that a life which was her own existed nowhere.
Want to be happy.
However, at the same time, Louie knew herself. Even if her nature was fickle, easily resigning ego to attain a life that had suddenly appeared before her was something inconceivable for her to be satisfied by. After all, she had known. In this world lay countless lives. In them lay an absolute amount of joyfulness, primarily determined upon by the result of incomparable great odds. In what way would things play out for a human belonging to a poor resident born in the harsh, holy kingdom of Gusteco? In what way would things play out for a human weak by birth, born to the Evalakian Empire, where the strong were valued? In what way would things play out for a slow-footed nitwit born into Kararagi city-states, which expected perpetual progress? In what way would things play out for a mixed race, silver-haired half-devil born into the kingdom of Lagunica, which was spoiled by ancient customs? By possessing the lives of others, Louie was aware that they would not have a decent time. However, to say joyfulness would be being affluent in certain aspects would be an immense mistake as well. Being born into the household of a great priest in the holy kingdom of Gusteco, being born into the household of a general in the Valakian Empire, being born into the household of a distinguished merchant in Kararagi city-states, being born into the household of any kind of influential noble in the kingdom of Lagunica, continuing ceaselessly as one looked upward. Louie did not want to be inferior. She wanted to be affluent. She did not want to be looked down upon. She had continued to raiding the lives of others. Within those, naturally, there were lives who had received the worst evaluation, but withal there were lives who had received the highest evaluation. It was not as if all items to be graded within them were the greatest. Even those highest evaluated lives, she could not gain satisfaction by.
Want to become happy.
Lai and Roy, around that time, discovered a novel transfiguration in the authority. Eclipse. The authority of gluttony was endowed with was the ability to plunder the memories, the names from others, chewing and digesting them, applying that in practical use. The authority of solar eclipse and lunar eclipse, which reconstructed the plundered populace, drawing out techniques or knowledge from the memories of others and using them as one's own belonging. Lunar eclipse. It drew out skills to their utmost. Not the benefits of the likes of physical abilities, so the possibility of not utilizing that power perfectly was high. Conversely, solar eclipse used the captured name as a foundation and reconstructed the person's existence in its entirety, completely reconstructing the techniques polished by that flesh body. It could manifest strength to its maximum. As an ability, it went without saying that solar eclipse was overwhelmingly superior. But her two elder brothers preferred to exercise not solar eclipse, but lunar eclipse. No, perhaps it would be more accurate to say that they feared using solar eclipse and found it repugnant. According to Lai and Roy's cognizance, solar eclipse seemed to drag along the thinking in the flesh body which had transformed. That sensation felt as if their selves were being damaged. An unendurable one was the two's reasoning. Hearing what her elder brothers had to say, Louie, from the bottom of her heart, found it to be utterly ludicrous. Despite even possessing their own flesh bodies, despite standing on a position where even their person had been established, to not be able to preserve their own selves possessing firm beliefs, how deficient and puny must that self-conscious be? It had to be a joke for them to assume the airs of being more sorrowful than her, who had not possessed a flesh body of her own, who did not have even her siblings be cognizant of her existence for greater than 10 years, for having that last grown tired of even sourness and sweetness of life. The authority of solar eclipse was very splendid. Rather, for Louie, it was convenient. It would be no mistakenment to say that precisely this was the power Louis Arnab had longed for. Louis Arnab was craving for a life belonging to herself alone, a life which was the greatest. That was unlike her elder brother's self-pleasure, who gained contentment by eating the lives of others, by capturing memories. A right further refined and ubiquitous. Louis wanted to live. Birth could not be chosen. That was the entire source of what brought forth sorrowfulness humans. However, Louis was different. Louis had acquired the power, the ability, the opportunity to choose her own birth, her life. She could heist the memories of others, reconstruct them by way of solar eclipse, and make it her own belonging. She had the ability to choose life. She could choose everything again. Everything. She would be facetious, seeking the greatest memories and name which she was yet to see. Though there had been some aligned favorability amongst what all Lai and Roy had eaten, they had not been perfect. There had been a dearth of novelty and ingenuity. Happy homes, tender parents, wealthy livelihoods and rich environments, magnificent friends and seemingly destined companions. All of it seemed naught but happiness, which had seemingly been seen somewhere else. She was searching for not that, but the greatest life. Possessing the ability to choose as per one's liking did not concede with the fact that one would not get tired of what one was choosing. Getting tired of the countless platters lined up before her eyes. What could she possibly find enjoyable? Louis Arnab was searching for the greatest life. She had been searching. That was why. That was why, when she happened upon Natsuki Subaru, Louie's chest pulsated intensely.
Oh, Oni-san is, Natsuki Subaru, was it?
To be precise, it did not throb the instant she met him. Natsuki Subaru's outward appearance was not to Louie's taste to make it throb the instant of meeting him. From the start, though his face seemed to be not to her taste, in accordance with the sense of values cultivated within Louie, the beauty which a vast majority of humans pictured would be precisely the face what Louie would see. In that sense, there did not exist even a single atom which would throb for Natsuki Subaru's outward appearance. Moreover, from Louie's perspective, Natsuki Subaru was certainly a personage she had already known, but he was not someone she had been attentive of simply because he was in the memories of others. Though it was something not requiring much thought, the memories present within Louie went up to enormous numbers. It was not simple to draw out the sought-after memories from within that. All the more when the other person was one she held no interest in. The reason why Louie had yet recollected the other person's name at a single glance was because one of her elder brothers, Lai Batankaitos, had been considerably attached to that name rather than Louie. If she were not mistaken, then there had been something mightily attached to Natsuki Subaru amongst the platters Lai had eaten.
This place? This place, you see, is the cradle of Adlagna, the Hall of Memories, the place where the souls of dead people are filtered. As it's rare for a person to come here with their cells intact, you shall be welcomed, Oni-san. We have too much boredom at hand, you see.
Smiling sincerely, Louie gave a warm reception to the visit of a rare guest. Truth be told, there lay no dishonesty in those feelings of welcome. Louie longed for others quite a bit. The birthplace of Louis Arneb, the white world she could not leave, the Hall of Memories. The reason why Louie was unaware that this place had been designated that title, that the gigantic existence of unknown disposition was a workshop of such an enormous scale, was the result of her mobilizing all the knowledge in the memories Lai and Roy had eaten and hunted down. Within the ones fallen prey to the authority of gluttony, there had been many wise men who in reality had performed great studies which would remain for posterity, who had made historical findings without seeing the light of day. They had settled at the bottom of the bellies of the three gluttony siblings, but they were profoundly serving Louie. In all honesty, Louie was not at all interested in the reason why she was born here, or why she was confined here. Neither there would be any means to dispel those doubts, nor did she find it to be meaningful. She had accented it as being just how things were, even if she were suddenly taken into the outside world at this point. It would have merely been troublesome in its own way. The day she would leave this place, had to be the day she discovered the greatest life.
Sorry. We still haven't exchanged names, isn't it? But forgive us. After all, introductions in this form don't happen often in this place, you see? Well then, let's introduce ourselves one more time. We are the Sin Archbishop of the Witch Cult, representing gluttony, Louie Arneb. Don't know if it'll be for a long while or a short one, but please be caring, okay, Oni-san?
The other person was exceedingly surprised and distressed within regards to Louie, who had named herself in that matter. Obviously enough, standardly, humans who stepped a foot here did not possess the aim of arriving there, though occasionally there were some who thus slip in. Louis considered that as something like lost souls. Rephrasing, the consequence of near-death experiences. A situation where the soul had been calmly detached from the flesh body, or a situation where it had become unstuck, perhaps. From their perspectives, such situations were close to the feeling of being summoned out of the blue by Odlagna. If that were to be considered, possibly Louis's role was something like a guide who quelled the turmoil for people who had experienced near death and elucidated what this place was. If that were to be considered as being atop Odlagna's invisible palm, that was again infuriating. Of course, Louis hated being looked down upon, but she also despised being directed. That was the same as Odlagna, an existence for whom that perpetually was the usual state of things. Louis did not want her life, which had yet remained to commence, to be distorted by the interference of anyone but Louis.
Eh? Of course we do know. Lai and Roy, Oni-chan and Nisama, right? Don't get it so excited, Oni-san, as the two are just devoted to their little sister, you know? The two of them devouring people here and there too is partly for our sake. They lack brains and don't have a grasp on our preferences at all either. But they're being considerate. Probably, right? But it can't be helped, right? After all three of us have never even been together. By borrowing Oni-chan or Nisama's body, you see, we have gone outside for a wee bit at times, you know? But when we do, the one lending his body goes to sleep and can't be met. That's why all three of us have never been together. Spilled that out.
Enumerating while speaking rapidly in somewhat agitation, Louis carefully observed the opponent's reaction. Slight panic, just a smidgen of daze, somewhat comprehended rage, and a fairly strong sense of purpose. What was perplexed at first had now regained the presence of mind, possessing the ambience of trying to proceed ahead logically. Not bad. With that thought in her innermost heart, Louis licked her lips. Whether it should be labeled as being accustomed to dividing into scenes of carnage, he was suitably fast in adapting to situations of, if observed and compared with the impression she had received at first, that was quite a mismatched attribute. That which varied greatly from the original attribute. A posterity was attribute compelled into polishing. What lay in its origin, Louie incited her appetite with interest, and alongside,
Ah, there it is. There it is. This is it, right, Oni-san?
whilst conversing, what Louie towed out were certain memories. The greatest reason why Lai, through a single platter which he had indulged in, was attached to the juvenile before her eyes, reeling in and collecting the memories mightily, potentially calling out to that existence Louis synchronized with them.
Oh,
At the precise moment, her breathing was obturated by feelings of love overflowing from the interior of her chest, welling up unaware of bounds, the feeling of love for the juvenile within her sight. He was so beloved, so in love with. It was unbearable. Louis' chest heated up, and her entire body throbbed with a sweet premonition. With her eyes moist, her breath sweet and warm, her lips smiled, and
please don't make such an anxious face, Subaru-kun.
upon that instant, there existed a mighty, potent rejection. Honing his eyes whilst maintaining his rage, Natsuki Subaru charged ahead in a pounce. Though she possessed the impulse to accept that outburst from him by spreading both her arms wide, she somehow immobilized that and slipped into his chest in accordance with the memories. Catching a hold of the juvenile's arms with smooth movement, pulling him towards herself, she gave him a twisting throw with a flesh body which was not a real object. Hallucinating the sound of his bones creaking, the juvenile, giving rise to a roar of anguish, was held down onto the white floor by her.
Please stop. If you throw yourself with such manliness, it will be embarrassing. Something like that.
Utilizing the memories which thought lovingly of the juvenile, she held the juvenile down through sheer force. With her sadistic heart fulfilled, she ended up relaxing the edges of her mouth, as if giving further satisfaction to that desire to afflict belonged to Louis' heart. Frantically continuing to scream was Natsuki Subaru as he twisted his body. His form earnestly calling for rage for the sake of someone else. Upon that, incidentally, Louie tilted her head.
Oni-san, why do you remember the memories we had stolen?
It had been an unnatural response. Perceiving that whilst holding him down, Louie greatly twisted her neck. By memories eaten by gluttony did not exist, did not remain extant within the person concerned. The names eaten by gluttony did not remain extant within other people. That was because the authority tore them off from the soul, which defined one's existence in this world. The proper cleansing of the soul by Odlagna, which was practiced in the Hall of Memories, acting as its agent of its own accord, the authority of greed would usurp it in stealth. Therefore, the memories and names snavelled by gluttony did not remain present within anyone. Restrictively, though, there had been ones who had only memories or only names stolen away. Respective negative effects got applied. If the memories were stolen, then the said person. If the name was stolen, then other people could no longer remember the person concerned. That could not be altered as long as the disposition of the soul remained within the protection of Odlagna. Yet, Subaru Natsuki did remember the ingredient, the soul which had been rendered naked, having memories and names both stolen, despite not being able to remember it. Why? Why? Why?
We may have developed a bit of interest in Oni-san now, though it seems Oni-chan will resent us.
Licking her lips, Louie dyed her cheeks with welling passion. It was the opponent Lie had been attached to. To have that food snatched by someone uninvolved would surely make even Lie take befitting offense. Though Lie was actually quite soft and sweet to his little sister, the core tenet he had of listening to her selfishness, which was followed to the extreme, to the point they did not cross each other's appetite. Appetite was. Gluttony was. The meaning of life, the meaning of living, for Louie, for Lie, and for Roy as well. To have that be invaded arbitrarily could not let their soul remain calm.
If a dear platter that's been looked forward to is usurped, even if by a sibling, even killing them would be something that can't be helped, isn't it? But how irresistible, Oni-san.
Whilst twisting his arms behind his back, she drew her lips closer to the nape of the juvenile pushed onto the floor. It was something like a spiritual form with no true substance. She could not sense the taste of sweat from him, who was in the state of mere soul, though by nature, even pain was something similar to hallucination, something she did not intend to inform him of expressly. Merely the feelings of love she wanted to be in contact with erupted. It seems the owner of these memories had been attached to the juvenile more than strongly. She could feel that strongly.
Well, right now that goes for us.
Should it even be a heresy memory? Now that it had been stored like this, it belonged to her. She could slightly understand Lai or Roy's feelings of fear for Eclipse. She held no fear, but she did understand that the two's premonition was correct. Perhaps if she continued like this.
We will certainly end up loving Oni-san, isn't it? Huh? Nauseating, you say? That is so harsh. Because despite everything, we're still a girl, even though we mustered up courage and confessed. How cruel. You're acting violently again. That won't do, Oni-san. It won't hurt, so please calm down, okay? There's no way we would hurt Oni-san, you know. After all, he's so beloved. That's why you ought to calm your...
No matter what No matter that she addressed him tenderly in an effort to calm him down, she faced opposition through frantic, meager movement. With the name in the memories being called countless times, Louie had her entire body tremble with the sensation terribly ecstatic. This ecstasy could not be tasted from a personage remembering one who had their name stolen, namely, a flavor of which Louis had never tasted. An unknown, sweet, sweet berry.
Natsuki Subaru.
What shall your flavor be?
Let's eat.
Seeking the answer to that glace inquisitiveness of her heart, Louis tenderly licked the juvenile's nape with her scarlet tongue, calling his name, whilst tasting in languorous texture on the tip of her tongue. Amiably, savorily she licked. In the significance of being fulfilled, what was termed as appetite lay similar to sexual desire. Within such strengthening of affection for the person before her eyes, for even this unremitting appetite to be fulfilled, this must now be something like copulation sought after sordality. The people who valued each other mutually blended within the existence known as Louis. The sufficiency of that flavor, or how saturine that thing would be.
Thank you for the treat.
Savoring it adequately as per her contentment, Louis conveyed her gratitude for the food through words. That was the procedure of gluttony's meal, invoking the name of the opponent whose memories they wished to plunder, peeling off one section of the soul from the opponent's flesh body and eating that. That was termed as memories, were things similar to sediments accumulated upon the soul. It was also possible to adorn that with alluring words, such as feast dished upon white platters. However, should everything be exposed to its origin, what would be stretching before her would be the meaninglessness of adorning it beautifully. That was Louis's perception in regards to the authority of gluttony, and Louis's privilege being the ability to indulge in those souls. With this, the entirety of what was associated with the soul of the juvenile before her eyes would become detailed. What would then remain would be for her to mix it with the memories of the young girl already within Louis. Then have her feel of what nature of chemical reaction it would cause.
You, just now, what did you do to me?
With a voice not supposed to be audible echoing, for the first time, Louis faced Natsuki Subaru himself. Until then, it had not seemed like they had been conversing. They had not faced each other as if facing each other. It had been naught but a vague, drowning dream. That was, for Louis too, an occasion of never before seen circumstances abruptly getting tinged with color. What did he say just now?
Oni-san, it can't be. You remember us?
A gaze charged with a mighty, potent animosity was the answer to Louie's doubt. That had been the moment Louie's slim, petite chest throbbed at an unmistakable rate of the pulsation. Why could he remain composed in spite of having his memories eaten? Why was he glaring at Louie with such looks in his eyes even now? Why was Louie having her chest throb so intently despite such bewilderment? Why? 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 Rather, that could have perhaps been an impetus deserving to be called premonition.
Why does Oni-san remember us?
Whilst glaring at the back of Natsuki Subaru's head under her eyes, holding him down, what Louie suspected at first was the possibility of the meal having failed. For Louie and the others, there were a certain set of protocols absolutely necessary for the authority of gluttony. The prime amongst them was to know the name of the opponent who was eaten. This was an indispensable element necessary for meddling with the soul of the opponent. Therefore, in the case an alias was employed, the authority was rendered powerless. And, till now, there had been a number of cases of having failed at the meal. In those cases, the one to face the painful experience had always been either one of Lai or Roy. So not even once had Louie herself faced the painful experience. But
Oni-chan and Nisama felt uncomfortable, as if it was painful. But
Louie stiffened her body, assuming there would be a similar recoil upon her. However, though she waited for a long time, there were no signs of that supposed recoil rushing upon Louie. To begin with, new memories were certainly being poured within Louie.
Watchtower of the Sage, dear comrades, and there were examinations.
Murmuring, indicating approval, as if carefully reading a single book within her mind, Louie became entranced with excavating through the new memories. Appearing to the facts that there occurred no recoil, she had been successful in the extortion of memories. Referring to those memories, she had comprehended what Natsuki Subaru and his comrades were doing, and even the sequence of events due to which he strayed into this hole of memories. What remained was for Natsuki Subaru's specialness to be.
Huh.
What words would be apt enough to describe the voluminous of the impact Louis had received upon that moment? Astounded due to the overwhelming thing, with the strength in her arms fading, she widened her eyes. Exploiting that gap, she held down Natsuki Subaru made his escape from Louis' arms. Taking distance at the same pace, he took a fighting pose. Nothing too impressive. Though it was opposition, rather comical and creasing up, Louis was not made to laugh at. There existed no leeway for her to be laughing over that. the impact of seeing something improbable was stabbing through Louie's appetite physique. That was...
Why are there memories of the time of death? No, that's not all. That's not all, Oni-san. It's of course strange to have the memories of the time of death. Plenty odd, you know. But it's strange. After all, in the memories we ate, there's nothing like the memories of killing Oni-san. Yet Oni-san has the memories of being killed!
That was something abnormal. What was occurring was a mysterious paradox that could not occur. The existence of Natsuki Subaru's memories, the repertoire of words we should not be aware of, originally increased. It was a paradox. Under the emergency due to the paradox, Schrodinger's Maxwell, Einstein was Nikola Tesla.
What is this? What's the meaning of this? Memories are different from delusion, you know. The sediment stuck onto the soul can't be distorted or bent as how one pleases. That's why. This is the world Oni-san witnessed. This is the history Oni-san tasted. This is the story of Oni-san that only Oni-san knows.
Putting her fingers onto her long, golden colored hair, Louie detonated her flaring impulse. Not even for a single second could she remain without hurling it, rather than simply keeping the impulse to herself. The very instant she did so, Louie Arneb erupted. Erupting and scattering across in all directions, her mind was divided into tiny fragments.
New sense of values.
It had been her meeting with that. Her meeting with an article which surpassed all imagination, which Louie had not known, had not seen, had not thought of. Her entire body was transfixed by lightning. She was unable to think of anything else but that. What else could this be possibly called? Should it not be called destiny? What name should possibly be affixed with these emotions?
Oni-san, could it be you're the same as us? Aren't you a Sin Archbishop? Though we have never met directly, Beetlejuice did say so, that the factors were supposed to have been delivered, that since the positions of the sins were filled, eventually everyone would gather, and that vacant seat is the seat belonging to Oni-san, belonging to me, is it not? Don't get angry, please, Oni-san. Don't make us perplexed any more than this, Oni-san. At this point, our mind is at its absolute limit. The small chest is about to burst open. It really hurts. Yes. Amazing.
Tapping continuously, striking the temple of her own forehead with her fingers, Louie slurped on the memories down to their very bones. Difficult to believe, unable to be believed in, the margin of having it believed existed not only in a fortuitous meeting with none but gluttony, since Louie could jointly own the same memories. She believed in Natsuki Subaru's progression. No, she could not believe in it, but savvy it as well. For this was the journey Louie Arneb had traversed as well.
Ah, what pride! Unfair. Wonderful. Oni-san, you really die again and again, again and again and again, isn't it? Amazing! You're really dying! You're dying so miserably, Oni-san! Again and again, you're dying without any method of succeeding, Oni-san! Even something like this is possible, right, Oni-san?
A round of applause, a standing ovation, congratulations for taking birth, a gratitude for the miracle of meeting you, the trained future which shall advance with me.
Welling forth Kanka, receiving stimulus and Henkaku. Oni-san, so you came from a place not here, not anywhere, huh? We can't even think anymore.
Spouting sentiments without restraining their intensity, Louie, who was unreservedly immersed in it, making no effort for resistance, suddenly recognized that potentially. No, she inclined her ears inwards towards her inner voice. To know a scenery unknown, to have taken birth in a world untold, all were the finest qualities, full courses which would fulfill the hunger called the inquisitiveness of Louis' soul. However, the specialty of Natsuki Subaru, which was deserving of the utmost attention, was
Memories of death.
they were not supposed to exist. Absolutely unattainable. There existed the memories of death and beyond. Fundamentally different to something like near-death experiences, which were like cheap test tours. A phenomenon established due to the soul shattering, life slashed into 1,000 fragments, the timeline terminating in its true essence. The other side of the Sanzu River, the border of the living world and the netherworld, which was impossible to return from, neither swimming through it nor striding across it. The memories of redoing life that was supposed to have been robbed away.
Return by death.
That was how Louis had designated the greatest showpiece of the memories blossoming within herself, accumulating the experiences of sundry deaths as memories. That which could not be carved into memories even once had been handed over to his next self as something certain. And like that, Natsuki Subaru had surmounted all kinds of hardships.
Amazing, amazing, Oni-san! Truly amazing! We've been deeply moved. We admire it from the bottom of our... You really can do something like that. Overcoming death with complete freedom! No need to be modest. We're serious, you know. We really do find Oni-san to be enviable. After all, something like the memories of death? Nobody possesses it, no matter what. Also, why is it so? Why are you all composed despite getting your memories stolen by us? What kind of specialness is it? Kakitome of the soul? Taihi? Invariance? Makes no sense, makes no sense!
Within the struggling, writhing Natsuki Subaru's existence, numerous, multitudinous of memories for the time of death. That was the stimulation Louis by no means had managed to acquire. Furthermore, the power within the ability to stockpile death, to die continuously without end, was the target of her jealousy.
We want it.
She desired the power of return by death. That was the stimulation Louie had managed to acquire. not for it being capable of repeating death. Naturally, that fresh stimulation was also the factor eternally captivating Louie. But what was further momentous was the ability to redo. Louis Arneb was searching for the greatest life. And the conclusion derived by Louis, having indulged in diverse lives, was what some termed as the greatest life was neither being affluent, nor being loved by many, nor being blessed with high status. What was termed as the greatest life referred to life which went as one wished. Anything and everything would occur as one believed, as one expected, as one wished, without any flaws, without any completion, without any irrationality. The perfect worldview. She had always searched for a method for its realization. The answer to that was a darkness brought forth endlessly within Louis. But finally, she understood.
It's return by death.
Should she procure that, she would be able to recover from the conflicts, from failures. She should know what was to happen in the future. She would be able to deal with it. If only she could know what failure would occur, what irrationality would await, what incompletion would she come across.
We can live the greatest life. What should be done? What should be done in order to steal it? If Onisan's return by death is an authority, then it can't be stolen by just eating. It's different from things that come attached with memories and names. Witch factors are the antithesis of Odlagna after all. It won't come detached easily. That's why.
That was why, was an authority to be stolen, there is no choice but to steal the witch factor itself. However, even Louis was unaware of a method to steal something to the extent of witch factors. Until now, never had she wished for an authority belonging to other Synarch bishops. That kind of bunch was disgusting to even come in contact with. However,
Oni-san, you're using the authority of the killed Beetlejuice?
the unseen hand present within the memories had weakened in both numbers and range from the original, but it indubitably was the power employed by that lunatic. In other words, that was none but proof that several witch factors were being amassed in the interior of Nazi Subaru. If amassing witch factors was possible, then
We will absolutely, no matter what, get our hands on Return by Death. Oni-san's authority is our hope. If it can be attained, we will be able to live our own life. Want to become happy. Want to become happy. Want to become happy. Want to become happy. Want to become happy, 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 want to become happy. The method for that is right there. The method for that. How convenient to yourself. Something like Return by Death is nothing so good. A person possessing it can't understand the feelings of a person who doesn't possess it.
something like a lauded persuasion, which had seemingly been heard somewhere else, was nothing but tedious. For one who would continue using that power as per his contentment, disliking using that power seemed foolish. That was why she would definitely obtain it. Absolutely. Definitely. With certainty. What was to be done?
What shall be done in order to steal the authority? Wrong. That's wrong. It's wrong anyway, as it's wrong. Certainly it is wrong, as it's too wrong. We're saying it's wrong because it is wrong. Gluttonous drinking! Gluttony!
Clapping her hands mightily, potently, Louie widened her eyes. Unraveling her sharp fang, she applauded, suggesting how clear-headed herself was. Before she could notice, the means and objective had switched positions. However, that was not the case. That was not the case. Louise's objective was not to plunder because she wanted to return by death, because she could amusingly live the greatest life by obtaining the authority of return by death. It was no good to have a bad habit of considering things in a hazardous, clinging fashion because of having played the part of something like Synarch Bishop representing gluttony for a long period of time. Problematic. Imprisoned by fixated notions. That was a cause of defeat. It was simple. If it was not to plunder, but to obtain.
It'll be fine if we just become. It'll be fine if we just become Oni-san. If we become Oni-san and have him be consumed by the authority of gluttony, we can integrate witch factors. Since if it's Oni-san, then they can be stocked.
Saying so, Louis plucked her cheeks with both her hands, continuously, forcefully, tempted into violence. Not an endearing gesture, but excruciating. She did so to wielding the intention to injure. For what purpose? To tear apart her flesh and blood and dividing herself? That was the purpose.
You know the 3 great witch beasts? It's said that those are monsters created by the owner of the witch factor long before us. We too can do something similar. We didn't do that because there wasn't really any meaning in doing so. But you see, if we think of doing it, then we can do anything.
If we think of doing it, then we can do anything. That was what was called the monster potentiality. That was what was called the potentiality of a pure existence prior to taking birth. That was one affixed with the destiny of living the greatest life hereafter, in the future. That was the destiny of the utmost joyful being named Louis Arneb.
That is the existence known as us. That is
That's
the existence known
lovely.
as us.
That slowly woven speech from Louis, then vocalized, overlapped. The phenomenon of hearing the same voice doubled was not some kind of auditory hallucination or mishearing. That was in accordance with the occurrence happening, for there appeared 2 of the same people, with the same voice, with the same tone.
Got surprised by Oni-san's memories, but Arneb is a star belonging to the constellation of the Hare, huh? It was also astonishing that Oni-san and the others were the ones to destroy the Great Rabbit, too. But if that's the case, then it doesn't become too much of a surprise? How come we multiplied? Or is it Oni-san's great delight that cute Louie-chan multiplied? No, huh? No, eh? So Oni-san is the type who doesn't have sexual desire for little girls. Is that so?
Observing the opponent who was frozen in place, with his eyes widened in astonishment, Louis linked her shoulders with the existing standing immediately beside her, namely, the same Louis, within this place, called the Hall of Memories, which was separated from reality. Louis was merely an existence of a witch factor possessing no flesh body and a soul joint together. Aside from that, it rather seemed that the respective names of the 3 siblings corresponded with the 3 great witch beasts, though that, well, did not matter. Anyhow, separating the witch factor in 2, Louis Arneb multiplied by 2. That was a stunt that perhaps the duo of Lai and Roy, who feared losing themselves upon the utilization of solar eclipse, were not capable of. To know it was possible to duplicate oneself, also tied together with forfeiting the true essence of one's real self. However, that did not apply to Louie, whose self had been established as vague from start. It was possible to have one Louie, two Louie, and so on. With this, Louis Arneb could obtain Natsuki Subaru's authority.
Eh? What?
The juvenile, the receptacle of the witch factor, declared some words. Upon glancing at the juvenile, aside from the glamour called return by death, simply feelings of love welled up. Finding that annoying, Louis discarded the memories emerging to the surface. Upon peeling them off her own soul, she discarded, abandoned them with the notion of them being useless. No, that was not simply a notion. In truth, they were indeed useless now. All the memories had been mere fillers until the greatest life was discovered, not but side dishes. However, Louis Arneb had finally reached her full course.
If we think of doing it, then we can do anything. If we think of doing it, then we can do anything.
That was why she would tread unto this path, eating into Nazi Subaru from the interior, chewing the eaten into Nazi Subaru from the exterior, sparing not a single bit. Louis Arneb would obtain Natsuki Subaru. Until the very conclusion of the end, the receptacle continued speaking something. However, what had it been saying? Something like that no longer held any relevance. Licking the sediment stuck onto the soul with her tongue, Louis inherited the memories. And, within the receptacle which had forgotten anything and everything, Louis personally had herself appended to the witch factor. As for the rest...
As for the rest, it's fine to simply wait for completion.
Unremittingly waiting in the Hall of Memories was something she had grown all too accustomed to. The problem lies in the usage of the memories. There was a scheme for stealing memories, once again, from an opponent who had already been eaten once. The Gourmet Authority did not deem a menu of the same name, of the same taste, as a separate article in its judgment. That was why there was present a need to alter the flavor from the soul into an article separate to such an extent that it was not possible to recall that it had been once atop Gluttony's, Louis's tongue. Anticipating it would prove itself to be a taste of the finest quality. That was what Louis Arneb fervidly awaited, hoping it achieved completion into the greatest, utmost, supreme dish. Looking forward to that moment whilst licking her lips and longing.
So, did you get to see what you wanted to see? Louis Arneb.
Huh?
Upon the sudden accost, Louis, who had gained awakening of her consciousness, rounded her eyes. Blinking a few times, she made certain of her location: white environs, white ground, and white skies. Standing within the world, blanketed white, Louis had been making a stupefied expression. Having her hand touch her face, making contact, she made certain of the sensation. Since there was no mirror in this place, she could not take a look, but the sensation was irrefutably her own face. With there not being even a moderate amusement in this place, speaking of things touchable, only her face, own body, counted as one. Therefore, she had touched her face to an extent one would grow sick of touching it. Therefore, upon touching her face she had grown sick of touching. She could immediately know in what state her face, her body was. Just as before. Yes, just as before. This was Louis's own body.
Did you get to see what you wanted to see? Huh?
Slowly, stupefied, making certain of herself, was Louie. With that behavior reaching a point where it could pause abruptly, the cost was then repeated once again. Lifting her face, Louie looked at the personage who had been standing before her, in front of her eyes all along. Rather short black hair and stabbing sanpaku eyes, with short legs for such a long torso, wearing a shabby appearance. It was the boy. His name was Natsu Subaru. The existence Louie herself had become one with as a witch factor, and bearing of unmatchable insanity, wielding the authority which had the ability to return by death.
No!
Louis opened her mouth and screamed. As long as the strength remained, as long as the possibility remained, with complete devotion, she screamed. Should she have not done that, she would have been crushed by the pressure, by the terror, by the menace, by the despair. She would get snared in the insanity of a lunatic who repeated and resumed continuing death time after time.
Don't want to die. We don't want to die. Hate it, 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 hate it.
Swinging her head, collapsing onto the bare ground, so Louis frantically appealed while drawing back. By assimilating with that extreme, Louis had personally experienced death. She had tasted it. By taking in by the soul who practiced return by death by her own volition, she had experienced return by death firsthand, which turned back even time. The memories of death that had been incomplete as merely Natsu Subaru's memories. After all, memories were not but memories. The sensational impact of never returning again upon letting go of that once instant, of that juncture, of that moment, could never be obtained. That had been why she had thirsted for that. She had thirsted for what flavor death had. Even if death had been something less vivid than what Louis expected, using authority that went by the name of return by death, she could gain sufficient change with the right to walk in a life which redoing was a possibility. That was what she had believed. Until she had herself tasted death, rather.
Something like that can never be endured. That anguish, sense of loss, no way can it be endured. Impossible, 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 absolutely impossible. Hate it!
Not even once had she best away to die comfortably. Not even once had she felt death to be luscious. Not even once had she wished to die of her own volition. Nazi Subaru had tasted that greater than 20 times, reenacting it.
Someone who can withstand that is not human. A monster! A monster!
She could not. No way she could. Louis had indulged in a great number of lives, affronted all kinds of souls, and had searched a life of her own. She believed she had possessed the right, the privilege to do so. That was why she stretched her hands even towards the soul of Nazi Subaru, and in consequence had gotten her naive, shattered. Because
The human heart cannot withstand something like itself dying. Want to become happy. 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 Wanted to become happy. Wanted to become happy.
that was the wish Louis Arneb had envisaged all along for the whole time. Trampling upon all aspects of everything, she possessed the right to exercise a power for the purpose of acquiring the greatest life. Louis had remained believing so without any pangs of conscience whatsoever, until this day. That, that, that premise crumbled. Wanted to become happy, but right now, the wish right now is different.
Don't want to die. 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 Don't want to die.
That's why I told you when you were trying to eat me.
Her arms hugging her head, cowering, shaking her head in fear, desperately trying to protect herself, was Louie. In close proximity to that Louie, immediately above Louie, unable to raise her face, onward came a voice descending. She did not want to listen to even that. Listening was terrifying. However, something which may befall upon her due to not listening was terrifying. Dying was frightening. That was why she had no choice but to listen. And while looking down upon Louie curling herself in fear, the voice continued. I warned you, saying that it prefaced.
That you definitely come to regret it.
And that's the chapter.
Amazing.
Yay!
An almost 2-hour-long chapter, might I add.
Oh my god.
So, excellent work, everybody. How are we feeling?
How are you guys doing?
Good, great,
Great, honestly.
fantastical.
You sure you want to narrate the next chapter?
I'm good.
Chapter
I got
beyond, but okay, if you got it, yeah.
Yeah, I
If
got
you
it.
Got it.
I'm good.
There's a lot.
As long as I don't have to keep going. Don't want to die. Don't want to die. Want to be happy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Ugh. I followed along with my mouse, so I think I got every.
Yeah, you got all of it. I
Yeah.
was like, it's enough to just like give the summary of it, but you went
Nope.
every single one. Yeah.
Going full bore today.
You're more than welcome if there's repeats like that. Oh, good grief. Sorry.
Oh my god. Imagine if.
But yeah, imagine that went off. No, so sorry about Wolf's audio at one point. We turned it all the way down because we weren't needed for a while, and I walked away as he did one of the important lines where he came back just from going blah, blah, blah. So sorry, that was actually my bad.
It's okay.
I was on the
We
ground
left
with
the
my
space
dog.
for it, so it's all right.
Yeah.
Balelele.
There do be space.
Sorry, I gotta
No.
reset that alarm. Amazing work, everybody. That was
Crazy.
that was a crazy chapter. The fact that
I
Tepe
love
wrote
it.
another chapter going over the same stuff is insane as well, but we love that for him. Yeah.
Honestly, Louie
Gimme.
was basically her own weakness, unironically.
Yeah.
On this.
Mhm.
Yes.
Subaru didn't even need to do anything to win.
No,
Yeah.
he just literally had to just
Her-
lie there.
Her own arrogance
slug.
kind of.
It was his only
She
defense.
was like, she was like, come on, anybody can do what he does, and she was wrong.
This
Well,
Super wrong.
I really enjoy this name chapter because you really get into the head of a Synarch Bishop, which we haven't seen before, really. So you kind of get to see why they're so crazy.
Yeah, this is the most clear perspective we've gotten into one of their mindsets.
Uh-huh.
And this upcoming chapter might be one of my favorites because it's one of the few that kind of addresses like what Subaru dying means.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be very interesting.
Also, sorry for peeking my mic on the screen, but I
No,
literally
it was
have
really
no
good.
way-
Perfectly.
I have no way to drop myself. I like backed up a bit. I was like,
Yeah, I know.
all right.
It was good. It was good.
I did. Yeah, I did alert the household. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna scream in a bit. Just be prepared." I
Prepare
promise I'm
thyself.
fine.
Prepare, please.
It's like don't be concerned. It's fine.
I swear I'm alive.
Okay, you don't need to come running over. We're just acting.
Act.
It's just acting.
It's just
But-
acting.
I think I find it fascinating for Louie to even think that she could do things differently, but that's probably because that's how she remembers her whole life, just being there observing people, and kind of makes me think of how it's one thing to observe a scenario and it's another actually being in that scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
She's like one of those person who sees something happen and is like, yeah, I could do that differently. You know,
Mhm.
She
if I
is
was there, it
those
wouldn't have gone
people-
down that way.
She is those people
Yeah.
that criticize Subaru, saying he's such a wimp for crying when he dies. She is genuinely
And he
one of those
rates
people.
people's
Mhm.
lives, right?
Yeah.
She rates people's lives, so she sees it as, you know, she has this grand perspective. She's like, this person's life wasn't that good. I could do better, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's because she's in this perspective of she's divorced from her own life, right? That's
Yeah.
what makes her pretty sympathetic. Is that like she has no life of her own, of course, but like the way that she takes it out is being like, you know, if only I had what they had, oh, my life would be so amazing. And this kind of shows the perspective. I think it's pretty clear that the theme is you don't know what somebody else actually is going through.
Mhm.
Even if you can judge them from the outside, you don't know what's going on the inside, you know?
Mhm.
Louie and iPad kid.
Absolutely.
That is the exact rage.
Oh, there's a dono too.
Yes, thank you so much, Senor Poop Scoop.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for stopping
you.
by. Ugh.
But yeah, she's basically like Louie's like that one person in the stream that won't let the streamer like do the game or figure it out. They're like, "Oh, you have to do this. Oh, come on. How do you not know this?" And it's like,
Yup.
"Person, shut up."
How do you not know this?
She's a
hyper-specific
backseat lifer.
Yeah.
Backseat lifer.
It's so funny too because Subaru's constantly like, even though you can't see his dialogue in that flashback, you can tell exactly what he's saying. Where it's basically like getting shocked, getting angry because Gluttony's there, but then being like, "This is a curse. What the fuck do you mean you've just won the lottery? You're not gonna enjoy this."
Yeah. It's like, what is wrong with you?
It's just complete naivety at that
Yeah.
point,
She outplayed
or
herself.
foolishness.
You played yourself. All right.
We're
People ready for the next one?
Yes.
Should I just roll right into it?
Let's fucking do it.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
All right. Arc 6, Chapter 76. The Hell Bearing the Name of Oneself. With the young girl who had experienced return by death sobbing with her hands on her head before his eyes, Natsuki Subaru stared intently at his own palm. It was not as if he was feeling hurt after having been called a monster, after having been spoken ill of. That he was crazy, that it was impossible to endure. He agreed with those notions as well. Subaru himself had died countless times until now. He was aware of something as basic as those experiences being unordinary, but he had simply gritted his teeth and endured it, believing with all his heart that it would be better for him to suffer than having someone else aside himself, a friend or an acquaintance, people whose names and faces he did not know, his precious comrades or the people he loved, die. That was...
Yeah, I sure am an amazing. Oh, right, Natsuki Subaru.
Tightly clenching the fist he had been gazing at, Subaru sang his own praises from the bottom of his heart. He had been commended, through loose-lipped logic impossible to be held true. Such words had been used as if to console oneself, or for encouraging oneself. However, the singing of his own praises just now had been different. The memories and real experiences which had observed the existence named Natsuki Subaru terribly objectively were commencing the path he himself had walked until now.
Dang, I'm unexpectedly a pretty big deal, huh?
And that was something which Natsuki Subaru, who had lost his memories and had returned to the starting point of being summoned into another world, and ultimately reached this point after taking a deep read of the books of the dead, could also be told. Starting from being ignorant with regards to the different worlds, accumulating personal experiences of death sufficient to equal the single year Subaru had lived through. He had returned without letting his heart shatter into pieces. Impressively so. Thanks to that, the lost memories and the memories thereafter had been unified.
Meili and Shawla were both entrusted to me. I'll take responsibility for them.
Meili, for whom murder had become a habit, had locked herself into a dark future. Shala, who had been liberated from a vain weight which had lasted for 400 years, wished to continue the blessed present.
Ram and Julius. Both of them sure act unreasonably. For those two to be doing that, that's quite a feat.
Ram, who already knew the best possible option and displayed prudence more reliable than anyone else's. Julius, who had lost those to turn to, yet embraced faith and resumed holding the sword.
Beatrice and Echidna. I've really been a bother to them as well. Jeez, I'm such a...
Beatrice, who devotedly supported Subaru, had noticed the limits of his heart before anyone else. Echidna, who was utmost suspicious regarding Subaru's amnesia, had granted him forgiveness at her end. And no matter if he lost his memories, no matter how many times he would redo, he had ultimately returned to the path of being drawn towards her. He wanted to do that. He must do that. He could not think of any other path. That was just the extent to which she was.
EMT!
With love and certain tranquility on his lips, Subaru raised his face and looked at Louie, who still had her face covered, shivering.
Hey. You're too scared.
Subaru scratched his cheek with a single finger upon her being excessively frightened by a single call. She was a young girl with an outward appearance which could unobjectively be called young. The form of that young girl shivering in fear, desperately rejecting the world, with a sight heavy to the chest. It seemed she had been endowed with something akin to fleeting fragility, which would make one thoughtlessly extend a hand to her, by birth. Surely, she had attained the nature to undo the opponent's vigilance, slipping through it. That could perhaps be a crystal pure like a child that had been coercively defined. That Louis Arneb, who did not know of the world, was like an innocent, pure child. However,
Louis Arneb, you lose.
Natsuki Subaru would not forgive Louis Arneb, who was sobbing like a child. Louis widened her eyes, frozen upon the proof of defeat being thrown right before. Whilst witnessing fear fill her eyes like ink spilled on a white sheet, Subaru's heart yet remained peaceful like the calm at sea. The world was not filled with problems that could be ignored simply by not knowing, and the deeds Louis or his siblings had committed were countless inhuman, demonic atrocities. It was not as if she had not gotten a chance to know. Through the memories of others, she'd certainly had a chance to come in contact with human emotions, likes and dislikes, and learn from them. However, what she had absorbed from them was not something akin to affection for others, but a further dusky, grisly desire, and the conduct of trampling upon and spitting on the effortful lives of others. Perhaps the fault was her teachers. Her elder brothers had been bad role models of her life. However, it had been her decision to never use any chance to return from the mistaken path.
You may know this as well, if you were a part of me, but the ranks which you sin archbishops, name yourselves, has something in common with the seven deadly sins. For Chanubio purveyors of Sayogo, there's the seven deadly sins, but the seven heavenly virtues also exist. Something closely related to it.
The seven deadly sins: pride, envy, wrath, gluttony, sloth, lust, and greed, and the 7 heavenly virtues: chastity, humility, temperance, patience, diligence, charity, and kindness. If the 7 deadly sins were karma impossible to be sundered from humans as long as they lived, then these were 7 conventions which must not be forgotten in order for humans carrying the burden of those sins to live with others. Because they respected that, humans could live with other humans.
But you violated that.
That was why the Sin Archbishops, why Louis Arneb had become an unforgivable great evil. The frightened, curled up Louis was struck with Subaru's words, shivering as if she had experienced agony. The slightest effort of others, of the world, connected to fear. Subaru was also aware of that sensation. Having tasted the otherworldly sensation called return by death, in a situation of not knowing how to surmount the obstacle, however much one may undergo death, even the sound of dry leaves swaying in the breeze, fatal to life. Because he remembered that feeling akin to his soul being frozen, Subaru closed his eyes, and...
Louis Arneb, you lose. So, recognize that and release anything and everything.
Once again, Subaru repeated her defeat such that she could hear it herself. On top of that, he pushed a firm demand toward the young girl, who remained silent upon hearing that. The return of Subaru's own memories was due to the chance meeting between Natsuki Subaru, who had lost his memories, and Natsuki Subaru of the moment immediately previous to his memories being robbed. Since his advance through the different world had been reenacted in the books of the dead, he had been able to restore his own memories in the form of tracing them back, in the form of re-experiencing the stolen memories by utilizing the books of the dead, and fulfilling the unification of Subaru before and after losing memories. The result was the successful second advent of Natsuki Subaru. As its byproduct, Louie, who had entered Subaru in the form of a witch factor, had been forced out as a foreign substance. However, Subaru had witnessed, with his own eyes, her self-indulgent treatment of the stolen memories, freely bringing them out and peeling them off. If that was possible, then a method to save the people who had had their memories, their names robbed, would be...
If we think of doing it, then we can do anything. That was what you said, right? Then...
From being conceited and bragging about her own abilities, she'd even succeeded in a stunt like splitting her witch factor into 2. Since she had achieved that, then surely it was not impossible for her to cancel out the effects of her own authority. If that alone could come true, then perhaps it would be possible to recover the people who got their memories and names stolen, to recover Rem.
If so, release all the people you've eaten up until now. If you do that...
Do that, then what? Subaru articulated powerfully, but Louis shortly interrupted the voice he raised. Louis remained on the white floor in the posture of pulling her knees towards herself, making her long, long golden hair spread out on the floor blanket herself as she glared at Subaru through the gaps of her hair. What dwelled in her eyes, the sole unquestionable hue of fear. Do that, then what? Repeating, Louis piled up the same question yet again. Subaru had been caught off guard by her retort for a moment, but got a hold of himself immediately after she displayed her stance of conversation. Far better than her not talking due to fear. He must accept the words head on and fumble around for a compromise plan that could change the situation.
Release the great number of people you've eaten. If the names return, then even the honor of the people who have already died can be restored. The people who are alive can even reunite with their families. If you do that, then I'll let you...
Off the hook, you say? If we do that, then Oni-san will let us off the hook? Off the hook, you say? His words interrupted yet again. Subaru felt daunted. Viewing that reaction of Subaru's, Louie let out a and opening her mouth bearing sharp fangs. That can't be, isn't it? That is impossible! Energetically lifting her face, Louie shouted with a blazing glint in her eyes. Her two eyes glaring at Subaru, they immutably remained soaked in fear, twinkling darkly. With those dark twinkles in her eyes, Louie forcefully rocked her body back and forth. It isn't. It really isn't. It isn't after all. It indeed isn't. We're telling you it isn't, as we know it isn't. That's why. Oni-san will not let us off the hook. Absolute certainty. After all. Oni-san destroys his enemies, absolutely crushes them until the very end of the end, without any exception, completely, thoroughly, closes it with a kanpekina shioi. He could do that! Then there's no way he wouldn't do that. There's no point in him not doing that! As if having heard a first-class joke, Louie ended her silence and let her emotions explode. And to Subaru, Louie's form as she had her outburst was visible as being terribly distant. Minute. Louie's facial expression was disordered, trying to laugh, trying to be angered, trying to be doleful, and baffled by the notion of fear not present in any of those. She was perplexed and was imploring. The gateways of all of Louie's surging emotions, all directly connected to fear. Regardless of whether they had begun with delight, rage, or sadness, knowing that all would ultimately lead to fear. For what should she be delighted, be enraged, be saddened? Subaru was more than sufficiently aware of the ingrained nature of his rejection. Cursing the entirety of the world, being flung into a storm of suspicion and distrust, becoming trapped in a sensation of being forbidden from taking the slightest movement. That was the hell named oneself, which Natsuki Subaru had also experienced. What had pulled Subaru out of that hopeless hell was surely the fact that there had been someone who held his hand, and that warmth had never let go of Subaru. That was the silver-haired young girl who had saved life, his heart when he had first arrived in the different world. That was the young girl in the dress who had strived to protect Subaru when he had been betrayed by anything and everything. That was the blue-haired young girl who had injured Subaru with kindness when he had sought to abandon everything. That was the reason why Natsuki Subaru had remained without being imprisoned in hell. That foundation of heart was not possessed by Louie Arneb. It was drowned in fear before his eyes. That was why she did not possess the ability to conquer fear. She could never think of return by death other than being a nightmarish curse of being dragged into an inescapable hell. Though quite a cliched expression, humans were unable to live by themselves. That was why, for her to be saved, she, who was caged in fear, it was necessary for someone to extend their hand to her. Someone offering their hand, just as Subaru had been offered once. However,
I will not save you.
Subaru would not extend his hand to Louie Arneb.
I will not save you. Neither will I feel sorry for you.
Louie Arneb, the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony, the blasphemer of souls standing in the white world. No matter how sweet in appearance, no matter how miserable and transient in ambience, no matter how luring an attitude of craving being sheltered by adults were she to possess, Subaru would not forgive her. The Sin Archbishops had committed sins difficult to forgive. That was the conclusion Natsuki Subaru had derived.
I'm sure that, no matter what I say, it'll never prove to be a salvation for you in the first place.
Louie's rounded eyes were filled with naught but terror towards Subaru. In this place, though only Subaru could understand the fear she bore, the very reason for her fear was Subaru himself. In other words, her labyrinth could not possibly be unraveled. And upon Subaru's head-on declaration that he would not save her, that he detested her, Louie stabbed her claws into the shapeless white world, desperately distancing herself away from Subaru. We know Oni-san's ploy. We were Oni-san after all. That's why we know what Oni-san is going to do. However, we won't let you.
You.
Return what was eaten? Absolutely never. After all, this is our lifeline. If we lose this, then Oni-san can kill us. As long as this isn't returned, Oni-san won't kill us. It's the other way around. The other way around. Completely the other way around. In order to not be killed by Oni-san, we cannot return this. That's why you know. Howling with a loud voice, Louie turned her palm towards Subaru. It was not as if something was being fired from the fair palm held out. However, Louie's aim materialized in a different form. Subaru's field of vision languidly distorted into white, and a change was yielded in the Hall of Memory. It commenced constricting the world, having detected the presence of a foreign substance, seeking to eliminate it. As a result, Subaru's existence was extracted. Enough! We don't want to be in the same place as Oni-san for even a second! Impossible in terms of physiology. Impossible in terms of life. Impossible in terms of destiny, you see? That's why, disappear! The ones who will eat Oni-san will be Oni-chan and Nisama. Either of them can do however they please. No thanks from our side. Louie's decision, infuriatingly enough, had been the best possible option for her. Banishing Subaru from the Hall of Memories and sending him back to reality, and entrusting opposing him to her siblings Lai and Roy instead of herself. If the Sin Archbishops of Gluttony could choose to share or not to share a meal, then Louie would be able to part ways from the worst platter named Natsuki Subaru. Whether her siblings would bear the same anguish as herself or not, that itself was something her current self did not know. It was difficult to hold his ground. With not a single thing to latch onto, and with even the ground to stand firm on becoming vague, Subaru was hopelessly the weaker side in this Hall of Memories.
If you don't like me doing it, then if you settle this by yourself.
We won't go along with that! Even if you try to make us kill you, it's futile! You intend to take us out through return by death! We won't let you! Oni-chan and Nisama will eat away Oni-san completely! That's the condition for our victory! Unraveling her fangs, Louie scowled at Subaru as he attempted to stay his ground. He could no longer oppose her will. Comprehending that, he let in a deep inhale. Afterwards, Subaru's black eyes directly pierced through Louie.
If your siblings are your final rope to rely on, then I understand. I'll slash that rope and make you pay. You'd better remember this, Louie Arneb.
With a single finger pointed towards the frightened, cowering Louie, he resumed.
Everything distressful, everything painful. Bear all of it by yourself. Don't run away from the memories.
Humiliation and repentance were all memories necessary to shape one's current self. Its entirety had become food for the human named Natsuki Subaru, and the Natsuki Subaru constructed by its entirety had reached this point after having stockpiled many a death. If Natsuki Subaru was amazing, then that was because humiliation and repentance let him be so.
With that being said, I don't really want even a part of that shame.
That was what Subaru whispered whilst being expelled, out from a space to its edge, which did not exist in the world, this field of vision turning white as if nothing had been there. And the Hall of Memories came untied. And within the Hall of Memories, wherein the form of the dreadful lunatic had been erased, Louie Arneg took in a deep, deep shivering inhale and confirmed her own pure life. her throat shivering, her lungs shivering, her heart shivering, her soul shivering. Even Louie, who had indulged in every possible variety of memories, could not comprehend an existence that repulsive. What was truly frightening about that thing was its inconceivable spirit. Why? Whether she could remain as per ordinary, she did not know. Louis had become a part of that thing, and prior to that had eaten that thing's memories thoroughly down to its roots, slowly crunching on the memories without exception. She had masticated them. That deed itself was roundabout, as if peeling off the layers of an onion's skin one by one, a code of action separating that which yielded new life upon each instance of death into greater than 20 sections. Before having experienced return by death, that deed of dividing those memories into several portions, then eating them, something that made her heart pound with the notion of it being a new experience. But now all she found was incomprehensible fear. In the first place, why could the memories prior to the occurrence of being summoned into another world or whatever not be robbed? Originally, the power of the authority of gluttony was supposed to eat away the memories of the subject until the moment of birth in their entirety. Yet, what had been able to be robbed from that thing had merely been the memories of this 1 year. As if Audlagna did not assess the memories previous to that, abhorred them, or otherwise. Listen, isn't this a bit different from what it was supposed to be? Suddenly, a voice echoed in the Hall of Memory, supposed to have been left alone, and Louis turned around, astonished. However, her doubts were immediately dispelled. The one who stood before Louis's line of sight, who had turned back, was us. That's right, us. Because we got the short end of the stick. It's us who'd been waiting here in vain. Which one will absorb the trial version of the greatest life by becoming Onisan? Was the Kyogi environment properly arranged? Came here to report that, is it? Whilst saying so, smiling at Louis was an existence exactly the same as her. Louis. Dividing the witch factor originally supposed to be 1 into 2, having segregated the soul despite being the same personage, in the utmost correct sense, another one of herself. The greatest factor which made that possible must be that Louis did not fear the deterioration of herself, an existence of mere soul devoid of a fleshy body. That Louis, who was one more of oneself, had not been shared that personal experience, unlike Louis. That was why Louis found the genuinely smiling form of Louis to be unordinarily distant. What happened, us? Making such an expression, huh? First of all, what about Oni-san? Being here means you got into this place by reading the Book of the Dead again, no? Besides, what's with this being all crouched since earlier? Why are you curled up? Hey, the goal was accomplished in full, right? Though we failed on this end, we were supposed to have fulfilled the role, isn't it? Amazing. Got in pretty cleanly, huh? Oni-san, jeez, didn't take notice at all of the us inside of him. Clasping her hands energetically, Louis reminisced the forbidden tryst. Of course, without it even being mentioned, Louis was aware of that affair. It referred back to when the Hall of Memories had been connected to, at the time she had been thinking of investigating the way of capturing the atrocious swordsman, Reed Estrella. Louis then once again came in contact with that thing, which had forgotten anything and everything, with the intent of eating that thing, including Louis, who was a witch factor, had the circumstances permitted. Though it was an experiment to see if that thing's authority, including the integrated witch factor, could possibly be successfully plundered by doing that. It had failed due to an unexpected hindrance. She had surely never mused that she would be made to taste a counterattack by one of the eaten memories. However, reflecting on it now, Had the hindrance not entered there, then Louie might have become one with that thing by this time. With that thing. Hey, what happened to us? Talk about more stuff. Let us hear it. Saw it, right? Heard it, right? Scented it, right? Touched it, right? Tasted it, right? Natsuki Subaru's authority, eh? Don't mention that thing's name! Eh. Resuming her merry words, Louie stretched her hand. The moment that arm attempted to touch her own shoulder, Louie shook off the arm in accompaniment of exasperation. Violently, powerfully, with as much rejection as possible, she did, to the arm of her literal other half. Huh? Naturally, unbeknownst to the meaning behind her other half's action, bafflement was yielded forth in Louie's facial expression. However, Louie did not possess the leeway to look back onto that expression of Louie's. Louie hugged the shoulder the other one had tried touching and stepped backwards while shaking her head in rejection. No! Don't touch us! Don't come near! She was astonished by her own cognizance. However, it was her own sensation. It would not turn traitor like the hell named oneself. She comprehended. Louie before her eyes, who possessed the same face as herself, who had undergone the same experiences as herself. The existence was supposed to understand her soul. At present, it was someone else for Louie. It was unknown what others would do. They would not protect Louie. They could become Louie's cause of death, baleful enemies who would not but kill Louie, who did not want to die. Don't come near us, don't come near, don't come close, don't touch us! Hugging her own body, she was unable to do anything but react in exactly the same way as when she had confronted that thing. For Louie, who had continued molding herself through the memories of others in this space, devoid of the freedom to even look in a mirror, the sense of being something foreign that she felt toward Louie, who possessed the same face as herself, was stronger than towards that imprudent other person. Witnessing Louie repeat denial and rejection like this, Louie reciprocatively shifted her gaze along with the hand that had been shaken off. And, huh? What's with that? Pertaining to Louie's rejective response, Louie clenched her hand that had been shaken off. She then looked down onto Louie with a terribly thirstful voice, biting and clanking her fangs. What's with that? What's with that? What's with that? What does this mean? With that purpose? With that idea? With what plan? With what thought? Hey! This is different from what it was supposed to be. What happened to us? What's with that reaction? Attitude? Response? The rejected Louie enraged. She closed in towards the huddled Louie. Crouching down before Louie, knelled her throat upon the vigor. Louie grasped the hair of her cowering other half. Subsequently making her raise her face through sheer force, the two with the same faces glared into each other at a distance that their breaths entangled. It sure is strange. Strange? How strange? Isn't it strange? Pretty strange. It is strange as it's strange. Quite strange as it's too strange. As we're saying, it's strange. What about the strategy? The plan went well, didn't it? The plan was to become a factor and get inside Oni-san and put wickedness to work, wasn't it? It was a job really well done. Oni-san was frightened after all. Oni-san completely thought that Natsuki Subaru was the closest person to him. Louie made no response to the plan which Louie recited and its progress. The truth was, Louie and Louie's plans had progressed smoothly. Louie had experienced return by death inside Subaru and stimulated the separation of Subaru and Natsuki Subaru by putting wickedness to work. And while staying behind in the Hall of Memories, Louie would eat Subaru, who had differentiated himself from Natsuki Subaru and made the authority her belonging. A single step had remained. And even if that had not went well, no matter how many times, tens of times, hundreds of times, The arrangement was to challenge until the authority of return by death has been looted, isn't it? What's wrong after failing a bit? It'll be fine by stealing Oni-san's memories again and trying again, no matter how many times it takes. Let's exchange each other's roles and challenge, no matter how many times it takes. Failures can be recovered from. The one to assimilate as a witch factor, and the one to stand by in the Hall of Memories. She had intended to accomplish the complete extortion of the authority by exchanging roles regardless of how many times it took, without getting tired of it. And yet, to do something like rejecting us. What happened? Oh! Well, with strength poured into the arm which had grasped her hair, Louie gave rise to a screech in agony and fear. Afterwards, she shoved the chest of Louie, who was before her eyes, making her other half rumble in pain and fall onto her back. Mutually glaring at each other with eyes of disbelief, a painful silence fell upon the white world. And whilst Louie remained silent, Louie widened her eyes and, "It can't be. You're aiming to monopolize the authority?" Since the authority of return by death was obtained successfully, you're aiming to erase Oni-san immediately. Enjoy it by yourself? Leaving us as is, too. That's wrong! Louie bellowed before the frozen Louie, who had painted a picture of repulsive misgivings in astonishment, in shock. That was not true at all. It was improbable. She had not thought in the slightest bit to monopolize it. Something like this. If it were possible to throw it away, then she wished to throw it away. However, she could not do so. For these were the memories of nobody but Louie Arneb. Oneself's own memories were impossible to be erased, impossible to be stolen, impossible to be taken in and out.
Everything distressful, everything painful, bear it all by yourself. Don't run away from the memories.
So she had been told by that thing just prior. What was experienced by oneself, what path was walked by oneself, could not be erased. Having certainly taken birth within Louie, that was the history of Louie Arneb herself. This isn't a joke! Something like this, if it can be excused! She had wanted to become happy. She had wanted to attain a joyful life that was hers alone. However, the life solely belonging to her, which she had attained in an unexpected form, smashed Louie's her heart into pieces, had wounded her to an irrecoverable extent. Louie was unable to comprehend, Louie fearing the wounds and abrasion of her heart. As if we'll let someone like you monopolize our means to become happy. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's not it. That is not it. That's definitely not it. As if we can believe that. We never thought that we'd be betrayed by us. As expected of us, isn't it, us? That's right. We get it. We get it. We too get it. No, you don't get it at all. Don't get it all. Don't get our feelings at all. No, do get it indeed. After all, it's us. That's right. If it's for the sake of becoming happy, then we'd be willing to do anything and must do anything. Joyfulness is something which keeps on declining by the slightest thing. Louie bounced and joined her hands before her slim chest. And with a magnificent, broad smile, she directed a sidelong glance toward Louie, who articulated her rejection in a tearful voice. What if we carelessly skipped wickedness? If that's done to us by us, who have attained return by death, then no matter how much the struggle, we can never win, isn't it? Amazing! Really put thought into it, isn't it? Don't want to die. We don't want to die. 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 Don't say such utterly obvious lies. Don't want to die. Why? How come? If it's unneeded, then hand it over to us. What a filthy desire to monopolize. Can't even think that it's us. From Louie's words, she was being repudiated being the same existence. In that instant, Louie felt like she heard the note of something inside of her thirsting, cracking, shattering. She didn't know what had been present inside of her shattered, though she did not know. Natsuki Subaru belongs to us, this thieving cat. Despite not knowing what that thing was whatsoever, it was condescendingly called as a even though the only one who truly comprehended what thing was only herself. How arbitrary a thing to say. The only one who truly comprehended that thing was herself alone. The only one who understands Natsuki Subaru is us. You foolish girl. That thing was fearsome. That thing was repulsive. That thing was abhorrent. That was why. Let us taste it too! Louie pounced, advancing in order to purloin the memories which made Louie. To hand that over would signify the death of Louie Arneb. Signify death. Signifying the world witnessed by that thing. Screamed, screaming. She screamed, continuing to scream, whilst resuming screaming, whilst continuing to raise a screaming voice. Don't want to die! An exceedingly fierce, meaningless conflict commenced in the Hall of Memories. A conflict which nobody watching, nobody interested, commenced and ended. A conflict devoid of victors.
Ice brand arts.
The instant those words were fired, she gripped the sensation born within her palm tight and swung it completely. What had been generated in her hands was a long sword shaped with ice, its cutting ability far greater than that of some incomplete iron sword. Though she had only just begun practicing the sword, moving her body was her specialty. Swinging the ice sword along a straight line, she attempted to land a fatal blow upon her opponent while sealing off his routes to escape. However...
You're doing it! But this is far from too far from being enough to land! Jeez!
The enemy, with his long hair waving about, evaded her fatal strike by seemingly crawling on the ground. Glaring with his sharp cuspids unraveled was the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony, who named himself as Lai Batan Kaitos. Upon hearing the name of Sin Archbishop, something akin to dislike swelled up within her. That was because, approximately a month ago, clashing with a great number of Sin Archbishops in the Watergate city of Pristella had led to a large number of settlements, as well as a large number of settlements being delayed. At any rate, it had led to a mountain's worth of grave happenings. Plentiful emotions of sadness or bitterness had been borne forth. Even now, their elimination or solution had yet to be achieved. That was why everyone was doing their best. And yet...
Why do you all act like this and...
Why indeed, why we wonder? Why is it, why must it be why we wonder? Why is it what we certainly wonder? Why, what must it be? Why? Why is...
His teasing words possessed no echo of seriousness. The opponent did not intend to give a proper response. Sensing that, she put strength into her cheeks to stiffen them. Being able to converse would be the best. However, should the opponent not comply with the conversation, then she would not hesitate any further. That resolute switch was definitely, clearly flipped in that moment.
Icicle line.
Wow!
Accompanying the chant, a sound of freezing space echoed from her rear. Countless ice stakes with sharp tips were borne in the air, signifying they were ready to be fired. Gazing at that, Lai's composure yet remained unchanged. With no strong feelings for that, she merely commenced the offensive, abiding by her frozen fighting spirit. The count of the ice stakes being fired was close to, but no greater than, 100. Submerging the aisle seemingly constructed of stone, the dust of the ice which had impacted the floor, the walls, the ceiling fluttered about, the space frozen white, bringing immense damage upon the one who took that immense hit. However,
Sorry on that, son. We're tired of seeing that. It's something we won't say, but we've seen it. See? Because we are genius after all. We don't think an attack that has already been seen will hit once.
swinging the daggers fastened to both his hands, Lai laughed, having outdone the terrific attack of ice. She inhaled in astonishment, witnessing his talent and skill, and having withstood and outdone it as a matter of fact, as he stood completely unwounded. However, if he had outdone it once, then twice, thrice, even more if that still did not work.
You're thinking you'll be able to win if you do it 100 times? It won't even reach even after you do it 1,000 times, you know?
Then I'll just do it 10,000 times. I won't let you get to where everyone is.
Well, that sure is a large scale. How good gracious! How outrageous!
Putting his hand on his forehead, Lai let out a sigh divided between exasperation and irritation. While viewing that, she quietly abided by her own words. Though she had pronounced those words while simply going with the flow, she must abide by them. Thus, the moment she attempted to step ahead and fulfill that.
Lie button Kaitos!
Huh?
From the rear echoed a voice in the aisle that was neither hers nor Lai's, leading her to thoughtlessly halt her feet. Upon looking back after being immediately lured by that voice, a shadow showed itself by the corner of the path, rushing into her field of vision. That was a black-haired youth with somewhat nasty-looking eyes. He dashed into the battlefield with a gallant expression, and was looking at Lai and herself, who were sparring in the aisle. Suddenly, "Oh no!" was the thought which surfaced in her innermost. Though she must say something, a vacuum was born in her words. This was due to the various emotions which overflowed in the face of the rushing youth. However, before bafflement was yielded in front of the youth, she hurriedly moved her lips.
It's dangerous, so wait! You may not know about me, but he's the enemy! Leave this place to me, even though you may not know about me!
She wished for him to leave this place, and for him to not think of herself much. At the very least, right now at the present instant, should she begin considering things aside from fighting, she would certainly burst into tears and cry. She did not wish to show her weak side like this and trouble everyone. And yet,
It's all right, Amelia-tan.
the youth who had rushed in called her name. Emotions she could not concern herself with, like anxiety, like sorrow, strummed and sprang within her chest because of just that. Hence, she tried her best to make sure they did flow out. After all,
My name is Natsuki Subaru, Amelia-tan's one and only knight!
right now, Amelia's heart was beating with such warmth. Such warmth.
Yay!
Yay!
So
The end.
back.
Oh, congratulations, everyone.
We're so back.
An almost
Did
3-hour stream.
Yup,
Oh my
You
god.
did it!
we did it!
Pachi, Pachi,
Thank
Pachi.
you for coming to
Two
the
chapters,
Tealdi
right? How
show.
long did two chapters be?
She contains multitudes.
I'll be
Yeah.
here all week.
So how
You
many
get a
words? How long did you speak for?
No, tomorrow.
Oh, shit.
Right?
No
guys.
rest for the wicked.
It's okay, it's okay.
Yeah,
Less
it'll be fine.
speaking.
It's mom voice time. Mom
Yes.
voice is always comforting.
Exactly.
Amazing work, everybody.
Yes. Whew.
That felt good. Yeah. The goat's back.
We so back.
Oh my gosh.
I was enjoying my meal. He ruined it.
How
Oh,
dare you, Common?
gross.
Fuck you for eating Amelia.
Yummy.
Again. Let her
Yeah.
rest.
Eating
What
who?
the hell?
It tastes
Who?
better the second time.
You go up to Amelia. Who's Amelia? Girl, what?
Girl.
Girl.
She's always the one who
Oh.
announces, who's that?
Yeah, who am I?
Who's Julius? Who am I? Who are you?
Why am I?
When am I?
I wonder if she knows by now that every single time she asks a question like, who's this person? She's like, am I about to ruin somebody's day?
Is Subaru about to look traumatized again?
Yeah.
Thank you all for
funny.
being here. You all did amazing. Thank you to our community for sticking around, being here
Yes, thank you.
Big
Finally.
chapters, big chapters.
too. Big. It's just
So
getting bigger.
big.
So
Fat
big.
with a
Such
PH.
big. Much wow.
Much wow. And then arc 7, it's just like that's just the average. That's just the average chapter.
Yeah.
Well, we all got to enjoy with our new cast who gets to do a lot of lines.
They get to do the most of the work. Fuck yeah! Yeah!
Woohoo! Woo!
Exactly.
Okay, Chilled is
Exciting
asking,
times.
was Louie piloting Subaru's body?
No. How do I describe it? Okay, so Louis was Subaru in a way because she was also part of
Sharing.
him, but they were kind of sharing it. And whenever bad stuff would happen that he would blame Natsuki Subaru on, like Mady's murder and stuff, that's when Louis was actively taking control and trying to change the situation.
Mhm. She hitched a ride.
She
Mhm.
did. She hitched a ride.
She's a parasite.
Yes.
She's a mind flayer parasite.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
pretty
one
much.
way of
A
putting
little
it.
worm.
It's just a worm in my brain, sorry.
So
Yeah.
Would you love me if I was a worm? No, absolutely not. Get the fuck out.
Get out of my
I don't
brain.
love you right now.
I'll never love you, Louie.
So yeah, Subaru.
Yeah, never ever.
Amnesia Baru was Amnesia Baru, and Louis was Amnesia Baru / Louis.
Yeah.
Just to confuse you.
Yeah.
It made a lot more sense with voice acting, I won't lie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
As I was
100%.
reading, I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is going on?
What am I saying? Yeah.
What is this? What is
Subaru,
it?
that
Louis,
isn't
other
Nazi
Louis?
Subaru.
Wait, huh?
Subaru looked at Subaru. Yeah, Louis looked at Louis, and Subaru looked at Subaru.
Louis, quote unquote Louis, quote unquote
Yeah.
Louis. Fuck.
Yeah, Louis
Louis
stood up,
and
and then Louis.
Louis.
Yeah, Louis trembled. And then-
Take a shot every time they say the name Louis.
Take a shot of water. Take a shot of water.
And same with the matter, of course. Titanic
Oh, yeah.
Scorpion. Kill me with Titanic Scorpion. That is my go-to reason. Every
Titanic
time.
Scorpion.
Panic.
I had to change it to gigantic. Titanic Scorpion does not make sense. She's not the size of a Titanic. She is not the Titanic.
She's not Titan.
She's
Yeah.
not Titan. Sit down, you was and go.
She's pretty big. She's not like.
She a big
She's
girl.
not like 1,000 feet tall. You know. She's not.
Yeah. Like the Hungry Horseman is bigger than her. She ain't Titanic.
Yeah.
She gigantic.
Yeah.
Get it right. Sorry.
Enormous.
We got a comment on the other episode the other day when I was crashing out. They're like, valid crash out about that. And I felt even more validated than before.
Yeah.
You stopped to comment on that? Beautiful.
A rather large scorpion.
A rather large.
A rather large scorpion.
A scorpion of
Human
unusual
size.
size.
That would have been those better. I love those.
A
Chunky scorpion.
humongous scorpion.
Chungus
She's a
Scorpion.
chunky girl.
Thick. She's thick.
Thick. Well, she is thick, that's for sure.
Both in mind and body.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No matter what form she is.
We love that for
That's why she's so big.
Yeah. It's just
It's just her body converting to scorpion
She's
size.
got big personality.
exactly.
Anytime Tape talked about her chest size, the scorpion
Every single
grew
time.
bigger.
Yeah.
Take a shot anytime he talks about chest
I'm pretty
size.
sure her chest size is mentioned every other narration sentence. About
There's,
Charlotte.
there's gonna
Yeah.
be jiggle
More than her
physics
eye
in the
color.
anime.
Oh my god, you know there is. They're gonna
Yeah.
have like it fully rotoscoped and shit.
There's there's going to
Full
be
view.
like one person. Their entire job is just jiggle physics.
It's literally
Yeah,
just.
pretty much.
It's not even just
No.
jiggle physics. It's just Shawla's physics.
Yeah,
Someone
you
else
got
is
one for
working on it.
Shala,
Yeah,
one for
Shala
Amelia,
physics.
Amelia,
one for
I think she's
Julius's
wearing like a
lashes.
sleeve, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Amelia has a costume
Bodysuit.
change. They
A
gotta
whole
do it for
simulated
cute.
physics engine just for Shawla.
Yeah. And I appreciate it.
See, we're a very appreciative community. We
Somebody
just
has
love-
to. Somebody
Yeah.
has to.
As yes, absolutely. I won't lie. One of my it's not a regret, but one of the oddest things is seeing people retweet my Shala cosplay on Twitter because people are counting how many there are. I'm the second. I'm not the first. I'm the second. But people were
Oh, wow.
literally arguing over like, do not shame her name, and then they linked me, and I was like, oh Jesus Christ, please don't put me in this. I don't want
Do
this.
not drag me into
Don't drag me.
this.
I think their cosplay
Not your
is
fault it was such a good cosplay.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It was so low
Yeah.
effort. It was not good.
Yeah.
But thank
I
you.
mean, is Shawla's cosplay a large amount of effort? At
no,
all?
No.
which is
No,
excellent.
not really.
That's why
She
I
wears
ignore
very
it.
little, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
California desert.
Well, just-
I needed to prepare. I wore an ample cosplay.
Yeah. That's right. Good though.
Yes. All right. Tangent aside, I think we're all ready to go sleep.
I am ready to rest.
We-
It's been
I'm,
a week.
I'm tapped out.
Taildy has a week off.
Yeah.
The rest of us are back
No.
Saturday.
Tomorrow.
Oh shit! Yes. So
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Tomorrow.
right.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
real
Oh,
quick,
right,
you
get
guys
that
will be coming
logo.
on to Common's YouTube channel, which we will do an announcement on Discord. We'll do an announcement in the community posts in a few minutes. Link you to the right spot because a handful of us are gonna join Common tomorrow for the Apothecary Diaries. Common, do you want to talk about it a bit?
Yeah, it'll be so much fun. It's essentially the exact same thing we do here over at Reverie. However, I will be running it. It will be the first 6 chapters of the web novel for Apothecary Diaries. So for those who haven't seen the anime or have, you are free to come by. It is spoiler free for anime onlys. And yeah, it's pretty much what we do over here. But yeah, Apothecary Diaries.
Yay!
Yay! It's a test stream
Yay.
to make sure it doesn't
Mhm.
crash your channel. And if it doesn't crash your channel and you can have your audition process, we will be posting that here on our server as well.
Yeah.
So you will all
Mhm.
have the opportunity to join Commons Progress. I'm very
Yeah,
excited
if-
to not run a channel and just be a voice actor again.
If I
Yes,
don't
it's
die
a
from
fun
this,
job.
it should be up on the 1st.
Woohoo!
So look forward to that.
Yay! We'll post about that very soon. We will have those chapter reads tomorrow, and then we will be sufficiently off for a little bit. The boys and I will do the podcast Wednesday. You'll get it Friday because I will edit it right away, and we'll be back Saturday. But Taildy won't be with us Saturday, so and maybe
No.
a few others. So Taildy gets a week off after,
Yay.
and then we're almost
My
done. Arc
summer
6.
vacation.
Yeah, yes, your summer vacation. Thank you all for being here today. Let's wrap it up. Goodbye,
Yes, please.
everybody.
Goodbye,
Bye, everyone.